There was a moment I realized every opinion I had wasn't mine. I had borrowed them from people who borrowed them from someone else. Nobody in that chain had actually thought. They had only repeated louder. Okay, I want to tell you something that might sound arrogant at first, but stay with me, because by the end of this, I think you'll feel it too. You're not crazy. That thing you noticed, that gap, that contradiction, that moment where something felt off even though everyone around you acted completely normal. You were right. You didn't misread it. You didn't overreact. You saw something real. And the discomfort you felt after wasn't guilt. It was the pressure of a crowd demanding you unsee it. There's a name for that. Orwell wrote about it in 1949. But the mechanism is older than the book, older than the internet, older than any political system. It is the oldest trick in the world. Make people distrust their own eyes. And today, I want to show you the antidote. Not the comfortable version, the real one. Now, before you tell me this sounds like paranoia or conspiracy thinking or that I've been reading too many dark books at 2 a.m., I hear you. I'm not talking about shadowy elites in a boardroom. I'm not asking you to believe in any grand unified theory of control. I'm asking you to look at something much smaller, much closer, much more boring. The meeting where everyone agreed with the bad idea, because no one wanted to be that person. The conversation where you knew you were right, but backed down anyway, just to keep the peace. The moment you read something that confirmed what you already suspected, and then immediately searched for a reason not to trust it. That's not weakness, that's not stupidity. That is a trained response, installed gradually, socially, invisibly. And the Orwell method is a surgical tool for removing it. Now, I use the word method deliberately. This isn't philosophy for its own sake. It's not aesthetics. It's not the kind of thing you read on a Sunday and forget by Monday. The Orwell method is a functional system, one of the most precise frameworks for preserving mental sovereignty that I've ever encountered. And it doesn't come from a self-help shelf. It comes from a man who was shot in the throat on a Spanish battlefield, lived under surveillance by his own government, and still chose, every single day, to write the truth as plainly as he could see it. That's not inspiration porn. That's a field-tested operating system. Here's the first pillar, what Orwell called immunity to doublethink. The brain, your brain, my brain, every human brain, has a deep and ancient need to belong. To be accepted by the group, to not be the one standing alone saying something the tribe doesn't want to hear. Evolution built that in. It kept us alive for thousands of years. But here's where it breaks down in the modern world. The same mechanism that once protected you from physical exile now makes you accept logical impossibilities to avoid social exile. You'll believe things you know are wrong, not because you're gullible, but because the cost of not believing them feels unbearable. The Orwell method cuts that wire, not through anger, not through rebellion, through something much colder. The decision that your own perception is the primary data source, not the consensus, not the expert, not the algorithm. What you can see, measure, and verify, that comes first, always. The second pillar is what I call the indignation fast. And this one is harder because it requires you to give up something that feels like power. Outrage feels like action. Scrolling through the news and feeling your blood pressure rise feels like engagement, like you're doing something. You're not. You are consuming a product specifically engineered to keep you in that state. Platforms don't profit from your clarity. They profit from your reactivity, from your clicks, from your inability to look away. The psychologist B.F. Skinner demonstrated in the 1950s that intermittent, unpredictable rewards produce the most compulsive behavioral patterns. Stronger than consistent rewards, stronger than consistent punishment. Your feed is a Skinner box. Every 10th post that makes you feel validated is the lever you can't stop pulling. The Orwell method prescribes something radical. A clean withdrawal of emotional attention from the noise. Not ignorance, not apathy, strategic disengagement. You redirect that energy, the energy you were spending on manufactured outrage, into silent, invisible development. Your thinking, your craft, your actual life. Which brings us to the third pillar, brutal realism, This is the simplest and the most ruthless. 2 plus 2 equals 4, not 4 point something. Not approximately 4, depending on your lived experience and socio-political context. 4. Orwell used that exact example in 1984 for a reason. Because reality is non-negotiable, and the moment you allow social pressure to make you publicly affirm what you privately know is false, you have surrendered the only thing that is fully yours, your mind. I'm going to stop here and tell you something I don't usually say out loud. There was a period in my life, not long ago, where I genuinely could not trust my own judgment. Not because I was unintelligent, but because I had spent years in environments that systematically rewarded me for doubting myself, for softening my conclusions, for framing everything in a way that didn't make anyone uncomfortable. And I got very, very good at it. So good that I couldn't tell anymore where the performance ended and I began. I would read something, form a clear opinion, and then immediately begin dismantling it, looking for the angle I'd missed, the way I might be wrong, the possibility that the consensus was right, and I was just arrogant. That's not humility. That's what learned helplessness looks like when it wears an intellectual costume. And if any part of that sounds familiar, if you've ever caught yourself apologizing for a perception before anyone even challenged it, then you already know what I'm describing. You already know exactly what this costs. The Orwell method didn't fix that overnight, but it gave me a sentence, a single operational sentence that I used like a scalpel. What did I actually observe? Not what should I have observed, not what would be socially acceptable to have observed, not what the smartest person in the room would say. What did I see? That question, repeated slowly, in private, before any social performance, rebuilt something that years of institutional conditioning had quietly dismantled. Your perception is not a draft. It is not a first attempt subject to group revision. It is your primary instrument of contact with reality. Protect it accordingly. Here's what makes Orwell's framework timeless, and why I think it belongs in the conversation about how we actually survive modernity. He was not writing about politics. He was writing about the relationship between a human being and their own inner life. The wars, the propaganda, the dystopian states. Those were just the most extreme expression of a mechanism that exists in every office, every family, every group chat, every comment section. The pressure to unsee what you see. The reward for agreeing with the room. The punishment, social, professional, emotional, for saying the quiet thing out loud. Orwell understood that fiction was not escapism, it was rehearsal. We use narratives, stories, frameworks, philosophies to practice surviving realities we haven't faced yet, to build in imagination the muscles we'll need when the actual moment comes. The Orwell method is that rehearsal made explicit. It is the practice of returning daily to the bedrock of your own observation and refusing to leave it for the comfort of collective certainty. That is not isolation. That is sovereignty. If something in this video landed, if a part of you felt seen in a way you weren't expecting, don't let that feeling dissolve into the feed. Subscribe, not for me, for the version of you that showed up here today and actually paid attention. Leave a comment with one thing you know to be true, that you've been afraid to say out loud. I read every single one. And if you want to go deeper, if you want the full framework, not just the introduction, the next video is already waiting for you. The work continues. Stay sovereign.